Welcome students for online classes. Today we'll start with a new chapter under Indian economy about the current challenges facing the Indian economy and the chapter 4 that is about poverty. So in this chapter we'll study about who are the poor people in the economy, classification of poverty, poverty line, causes of poverty, and lastly about the policies and the programs which is given by the government to reduce the poverty level. So in this session we'll study about who are poor people and the classification of poor. So poverty is a major thing in our economy. So when we compare Indian economy to any other economy, poverty level is increased, or there is a majority level of poverty level in our economy. So one fifth of the Indian people are poor, or they live below poverty line. So when I come to the millions of people, it is approximately 260 million of the people in our economy lives under poverty line. So it is very much difficult for them to have even the minimum basic needs of their life, maybe like food, shelter, to have proper clothes. So what does poverty mean? Inability to secure minimum consumption requirements for life, health, and efficiency is called as poverty. So, as told, what happens when a particular individual will be having no proper food consumption for one particular day, he even comes under the poverty line people. So, poverty plays a major or the important role in our economy. To reduce poverty, the government is taking major consideration or major schemes and programs. So who are poor people? According to NSSO, what is NSSO? We had studied in the earlier chapter, that is National Sample Survey Organization. So based on this organization, poor people are being segregated as based on the ownership of assets and based upon the occupation. Okay, based upon the ownership of assets, it is based whether a particular individual has property or not. For example, if I am an individual, I will be having no property, I stay outdoors, I stay in a rented house. So even that kind of people can be told as the poverty level in comparison to the people who are having property. That is a kind of comparison. And when you come to the occupation level, it is considered as a rural poor and urban poor. So who are rural poor? Those who are living below poverty line lived in rural areas. Okay, who so what kind of people are called as rural people? Maybe the landless agricultural laborer households, the small land owners, unemployed rural people, the people who live in the village and they have no proper employment opportunities, even they are called as the poor people under the rural areas. So when I come to the urban poor, those poor people who come from the rural areas seeking employment in the urban areas, they are known as urban poor. So there is also a segregation. So I live in village, I got a job, so because of this I went to urban places, that is for the city. Those people are not called as the urban poor. In spite of that, I am living in a village, I need to have a financial security to my family. So because of this, I go to urban places, that is to the cities, in search of jobs. So I'm not even having a job, I will be having no shelter to stay in. These people are known as the urban poor. So because of this, they will be having no proper job, so they indulge in pushcart vendors, street pickers, beggars, and even the vendors who are engaged in selling variety of things on roadside. These kind of people are known as the urban poor. Okay, the people who lived in village and they go to the urban cities in search of jobs. Okay, these are known as urban poor. So the feature of poor households or the features of the poverty are the people or the poor people who possess few property or assets. Few property or assets in the sense only they might be having a small house where they can't even have they can't even have the minimal consumption of food. So they are known as the poor people or the poverty level people. Poor people who live in huts. So even the people who didn't even had proper money to construct a good house, so they live in huts. So during the rainy season, during the winter season, what will happen, it will be a very problematic thing for them. So these are also known as the poor people. And many poor people are landless. They are having no proper land to live in, they are no having no proper house to live in, they are also known as landless people. The starvation, hunger, lack of literacy and skills, even these are known as poor people. So why they are known as poor people? Because they don't even have a minimal consumption, they don't even have proper knowledge so that they gain something for their livelihood. So even they are known as poor. And even unstable employment, highly vulnerable. So the people who are in danger, the people who doesn't have proper employment opportunities, the people who are not even stable in their life and having lot of financial problems, they come under the poverty line people. So why poor people are physically weak? First thing, because of the money structure, they will be having no money. When they are having no money, these things arises. There will be malnutrition in the sense there will be no proper, I can even tell it as undernutrition. When there is, where there is no proper food available for them, so they will not consume something. So lack of nutrition in your body will also lead to malnutrition. Next is about ill health. What happens when you won't eat regularly, or when you won't eat healthy foods regularly? You will go into some kind of health problems or health issues, so which leads to the health problems for you. So that is known as ill health. And even disability, what happens, maybe physical disability, maybe mental illness. So at this particular point of time, what happens when the people are very weak, physical health, in the sense, what happens, the people might be handicapped, in spite of that they will have a urge to work on. So they are not called as poor people, but the people who are disabled and they are not willing to work, even they are also called as physically weak people. So because of these things, because of malnutrition, because of disability, and even I'll tell, because of laziness also, the poor people can be called as physically weak. Next thing, it is, how are poor people identified? The poor people are identified based on the basic needs, in the sense, maybe you are having no food, you are having no clothes, you are having no shelter. Based on this also, the poor people can be identified. And even a particular person, that is Dadabhai Nauroji, he gave a kind of living, or a kind of how a particular person should live, who lives below poverty line or above poverty line. So he was the first person to discuss about the concept of poverty before independence. So he gave a major example, that is about the jail cost of living. Now what is this jail cost of living? So majorly adults will go to jails. As per, adults will make some of the mistakes, adults will go to the jail, they will suffer there because of their mistakes. So what happens, in our economy there are even children's too. So I'm not telling that children will go to the jail. So what my point, or what Dadabhai Nauroji told, is that to what extent the particular person lives in prison, gets a food, even the children will have the same thing in their normal life. So only some percentage of the extent is being given in the economy to the particular individual. So it can be told, or it is told in a particular ratio percentage. So I'll take into consideration, so in our economy, not only when I come to jail or when I come to normal life, I majorly talk about normal life. What happens, there are children in our economy, at the same point of time there are adults in our economy. But when you compare to children, adults are more. So I take a majority percentage of adults, that is 2 by 3 percentage. When I come to children, I will take only 1 by 3 percentage of the children. So how will be the consumption of the children? If a adult eats one whole plate of maybe chicken biryani, what happens, what will the children eat? The children will eat only a half percentage, not only half percentage, maybe a quarter percentage. So I'll talk to this in percentage level. So even the childrens are being segregated in two parts. So the kids who are below 6 months, what they will only drink milk, that too the milk of their mother. So at this particular point of time, how will be taken into consideration? So if there are 1 by third children in our economy, so half of the children will not consume anything, half of the children will consume something, maybe any kind of food, any kind of fruits, any kind of food grains. So I will make half and half. So when there is no consumption, it will be nil. So anything multiplied with zero will be resultant of zero, so there is no consumption. So the half consumption of the students, so only half I have taken, one third of half. So what do they consume? They consume only half percentage of the food. So after the multiplication process, what will I get? I will get 1 by 12th ratio. So when I take average to the overall thing in the sense, to the overall economy, even when adults include into this process, even when the children include into this process, what happens? When I take into consideration 0 plus 1 by 12, that is half of the consumption, 0 was the nil of the consumption, 2 by 3 is about the adult consumption. So the average food a particular person should have is about 3/4 of this consumption. So if a particular individual consumes less than this 3/4 consumption, he will be called as the poor person. If I consume more than 3/4 consumption, 3/4 in the sense, in a particular 1 kg of chicken, what happens? I will take 3/4. So that is the minimum consumption. If I eat 1 kg of chicken per day, what happens? I am living above poverty line. So if I eat less than 3/4 kg of consumption, that is known as below poverty line. This is the basic thing which was given by the person named Dadabhai Nauroji, that is in comparison to jail cost of living. The next thing, based on the dimensions of poverty, dimensions in the sense the segregations of the levels of the poverty, how the levels of poverty can be measured, that is the level of income and consumption, that is vulnerability of risk, socio-political assessment. So based on the income of the people also, the what the economical process can be taken into consideration. So these dimensions I will tell you based on the categories. Based on the categories are segregated into poor people, non-poor can also be told as rich. Under poor, who comes? Absolutely poor, very poor. But under non-poor, there comes middle class people, upper middle class people, rich, very rich, and absolutely rich. So these categories are being explained in the classification of poverty people. So the classification is made based on the poor and non-poor. The classification is based on three segregations, that is chronic poor, transient poor, and last is about never poor. So first is about chronic poor. So what does the word chronic mean? Those people who are living below poverty line for a longer period of time. So below poverty line means to have a minimal consumption, and if you have no minimal consumption, you come below poverty line. If you have proper consumption, you go to the above poverty line people. So those people who live below poverty line for a longer period of time, those are known as chronic poor. So I'll give you example. First is about always poor. So what does this particular dotted lines will give you a segregation of above poverty line and below poverty line. Always poor are those people who live below poverty line throughout their life, or throughout their life in the sense, when you're born you live below poverty line, till you die, what happens? You live below poverty line. So this is known as always poor. So usually poor, second thing under chronic poor, it is usually poor. What happens? Those people who are living below poverty line for a longer duration of their life, but sometimes they are living above poverty line. How will they come above poverty line? Say for example, I'll give you example of lottery. So I will be taking lottery in a regular system. Every time I will be not gaining any lottery, but at some point of time, what will I gain? I gain a lottery. I will get a lottery of maybe of 10 lakhs. So what will I do? So at some point of time, I have come above poverty line, so that is known as usually poor. The next thing of the segregation is about transient poor. So it is a poorness where there is variation in the poverty, where sometimes you will be in below poverty line, sometimes the individual will be in above poverty line. So the things under transient poor are churning poor or churning poor. What do they tell? Those people who are living sometimes below poverty line and sometimes above poverty line, they are known as churning poor. So I'll give you an example of the productivity of crops. So what happens, it is not necessary that every year there will be a proper productivity. This year you will be having good productivity, next year because of lack of rain or because of heavy rain there will be the productivity of your food grains will decrease. For example, this year you are having 10 tons of paddy or rice, so the next year because of these problems there will be only 1 ton of rice, so you will come below poverty line because of lack of money structure. So this is known as churning poor, where your poverty level increase fluctuates. Maybe sometimes you will be above poverty line, sometimes you will be below poverty line. Next thing is about occasionally poor. Those people who are living always above poverty line, but sometimes unfortunately they live below poverty line. So how will be, for example, I'll take a business structure. So what happens under business? You make business, why? To make profit. So at this particular point of time, what will happen? You will be making profit every year. So in 1 year, what happens? Because of the lack of efficiency, because of lack of some of the things, you will be suffering loss. So this is known as occasionally poor. So when you suffer loss, what happens? There will be, you will be having no proper money structure, so you come below poverty line. So occasionally when you come below poverty line, that can be told as occasionally poor. And lastly is about never or non poor. The people who do, who lives always in about above poverty line, they are known as never poor or the rich people. So this is the category how the poor people and the rich people are being segregated. So the assignment part: give the meaning of poverty, why the people are physically weak, poverty has many dimensions, how it has to be looked at. List the features of poor household, who are rural and urban poor, give examples. Write the chart of poverty line and give the meaning of classification of poverty. Thank you, students.